Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing just what it says on the tin. Really diving into this really interesting collection of everyday chats.
Yeah, our source material this time is, well, it's a bunch of snippets, little glimpses into people's days.
Exactly. You hear them meeting friends, maybe doing some shopping, trying to sort out plans, just normal life stuff. And our mission, if you will, is to look a bit closer, to unpack the social stuff, the way they talk to each other, maybe even, little cultural things hidden in there.
It's about seeing how these simple exchanges can actually give you a different angle on, well, daily life and how relationships work.
Hopefully give you a fresh lens for your own day-to-day as well.
Definitely. Because what's so fascinating about these mundane chats is how much they show you about, like, the foundations of social connections.
Right.
It's not just the words, is it? It's the tone, the things left unsaid, the shared understandings. All that shapes how people interact. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, sounds good. So let's kick off right at the start. There's this phone call, Ollie and Al. The first thing I noticed was how, well, informal it is. What's that tell us, that kind of casual chat first thing in the morning between friends?
That's really good observation. The fact they just jump right in, no, hello, how are you, suggests, a routine. They're comfortable, they know each other's habits, maybe even sleep schedules.
Yeah, skips all the usual fluff.
Exactly. Gets right to the point, are we hanging out today? And notice how quickly that mix-up about the day gets resolved.
Oh yeah, the Saturday thing. Ollie thinks it's Saturday, Al corrects him, it's over in a second.
Right. No big drama, no dwelling on it, just, okay, it's Friday, let's make plans anyway.
And they do, just like that, bam, let's spend the day together. That speed, moving from a simple mistake straight into making solid plans, it says a lot, doesn't it, about the trust there?
It really does. That kind of quick shift often points to a lot of social capital between them. They don't need lengthy apologies or justifications. It suggests a friendship where, being spontaneous is okay. It's easy.
Okay, so building on that comfort level, the next bit at Al's place, they really show that easygoing vibe, especially with the missing juice situation.
Ah, yes, the great juice shortage.
There's no orange, then no grape. It's such a minor thing, but the way they joke about it, how does that work in their interaction?
Well, that playful back and forth about the juice, it's a perfect little example of humor strengthening the connection, right?
Yeah.
It smooths over any tiny disappointment, keeps things light. Sharing those small, slightly annoying moments and laughing them off, it builds that sense of, being in it together, camaraderie.
And from the juice drama, they pivot again. Breakfast time, neither has eaten.
The essentials.
And that's where Juanita's aunt's breakfast place comes up. It's presented right away as this local spot, kind of setting the scene for later. What does bringing in this specific local place tell us?
Introducing the aunt's shop kind of highlights how important these community spots are, these third places, not home, not work. They're often hubs for just bumping into people, strengthening local ties. It's neutral ground, where different friend groups might overlap.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. They're at breakfast, and Bob's order is, well, memorable. Hamburger and ice cream.
Yeah, quite the combo for breakfast.
Yeah.
Definitely makes a statement.
And then there's this flurry of introductions. We meet Bob, Juanita, and then Michelle just happens to be there, someone Al and Bob knew from school.
The chance encounter.
Yeah, that whole haven't seen you in ages thing. And they immediately get the download on Michelle, she's single, runs a phone shop at the mall. How does bumping into her like that fit into the story?
Well, meeting Michelle like that, it just shows how our daily routines can sort of weave our social lives together unexpectedly, doesn't it? Just running errands can spark these big reconnections. It reminds you how interconnected things can be. And notice how the chat quickly goes to, okay, what are you doing now? Maybe you can connect again.
Right, reviving that old connection.
Exactly. There's that immediate interest in bridging the gap.
And that chance meeting leads into talk about Al's car, that old 75 thing that needs constant work.
Oh, yeah, the classic car struggles.
And how they're going to get to the mall. Walking's out, so they decide on the train, but naturally,
something goes wrong.
Of course. They end up on the wrong platform. What can we take away from how they handle that little travel hiccup?
That detour, it just kind of highlights how unpredictable everyday stuff is and how you need to be flexible, socially flexible too.
Yeah, they don't seem to freak out.
No, they seem to just roll with it. Okay, wrong platform, let's grab a taxi.
Yeah.
Adapting the plan.
Yeah.
And actually navigating that little unexpected problem together, it can sort of strengthen the bond.
Shared problem solving.
Yeah. And maybe a bit of shared amusement about the situation.
Okay, so taxi works. They get to the mall. Time for shopping. Bob needs a phone, but Al gets shoes first. And there's that little bit of haggling.
The negotiation.
Yeah, over the price. They finally agree on a special $16. What's that little back and forth tell us?
That haggling moment. It's a little window into maybe cultural norms around buying things. The fact they even engage in it, this sort of playful chat about price and quality.
It's not just handing over cash.
Exactly. It's more relational, isn't it? There's a bit of social interaction baked in, even with a quick purchase like that.
Okay, then comes a moment I think we can all sympathize with. The desperate need for a toilet.
The universal quest.
Al suddenly needs one right there in Michelle's phone shop, and the directions he gets are quite something. Involving a fish shop, a waterfall.
Those directions are pretty wild.
How does that funny little side quest fit into their day?
Well, it's comical, right? And maybe a bit absurd, but it taps into that shared human experience of basic needs and the sometimes funny ways we deal with them.
Definitely relatable.
The detailed, slightly crazy directions, Al presumably wandering off confused. It's memorable. It breaks up the errand running with a bit of pure human comedy. Adds levity.
So, crisis averted, presumably. They then try to make plans for a movie, bringing Michelle back in, but schedules clash.
The eternal problem.
Michelle has to wait for staff, has another meeting later. So the movie plan gets kicked down the road, but it leads to an invite back to Michelle's shop later. What's this whole movie negotiation about?
That trying to schedule dance?
Mm-hmm.
It just perfectly shows how tricky you can be to coordinate stuff when everyone's busy, right?
Totally.
It shows you need to compromise, be flexible, and the fact they keep trying, even when the first plan falls through, shows they actually want to hang out. They value the connection.
Right, the effort matters.
Trying to find that slot that works for everyone.
And after the movie, which turns out to be a comedy called Fool School, they do go back to Michelle's shop. And then, surprise,
Another twist.
Michelle's friend Juanita shows up.
Cool.
And Juanita is Al's roommate.
No way. Small world indeed.
Talk about interconnected. So this naturally leads to a suggestion for everyone to hang out again, maybe dinner this time. How does that unexpected link change things?
That revelation, the roommate connection, it just drives home that point about how our social circles overlap in ways we don't always realize.
Yeah.
That existing link between Al and Juanita instantly creates common ground for the whole group, makes it easier to expand the circle, and leads right into that dinner idea.
So dinner is on, initially set for Thursday. But then, another scheduling snag.
Uh-oh, what now?
A dentist appointment.
Yeah.
Classic. So it has to be postponed to Friday, which means a round of phone calls to get the message to everyone. What's interesting about that rescheduling shuffle?
Well, that rescheduling saga, even though it seems kind of tedious, it shows the effort involved in group plans, doesn't it?
The logistics.
Yeah, how people juggle their own stuff that still try to make the social thing happen. It needs communication, flexibility from everybody.
So finally, Friday rolls around. We find the group at a French place, Chateau de Mai.
Ooh la la.
Courtesy of a 2-for-1 coupon, mind you.
Even better. Frugal and fancy.
And there's a gift exchange. A rather unique one.
Ooh, do tell.
An Oscar fish for Juanita and for Michelle. A picture dartboard featuring Al.
Wow. Okay, that's specific.
Right. And the evening ends with a toast to friendship. But there's maybe a little hint of something else underneath. Romantic sparks.
Ah, the subtext. So what do those quirky gifts and that final toast tell us about where things stand?
Well, the gifts are fascinating, aren't they? So personal, maybe indicating some inside jokes or just comfort with being a bit weird together.
Definitely not generic presents. Shows personality.
Yeah. And the toast to friendship, coupled with those hints of romance, it adds another layer, suggests maybe these friendships are evolving for some of them, or could be.
Interesting. It leaves things a bit open-ended.
So we've basically followed them through a pretty normal-seeming day, right? Wake-up call, breakfast, shopping, transport issues, dinner, ordinary stuff.
Yeah, on the surface. But as we've kind of pulled apart these little moments, you see there's so much going on about how people connect.
Definitely.
Absolutely. These small interactions, they weave together this bigger story about friendship, about just navigating daily life and all the subtle ways we build and keep relationships going.
The humor, the little problems they solve together.
Yeah, even the mix-ups and the detours, it all adds to the richness of it all.
And that brings us right to the end of their day, doesn't it? At that French restaurant with those wonderfully odd gifts and that toast.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you pause and think about your own conversations, how even the most routine chats are probably packed with these subtle signals, these unspoken things that really shape your connections.
That really is the takeaway, isn't it? It poses a great question for you, listening right now. If you really tuned in, what deep dives could you do on your own everyday interactions?
Yeah, what would you find?
What subtle dynamics? What ways of talking? What unspoken stuff might you uncover about your own relationships? The texture of your own life? It's often in those seemingly ordinary moments, isn't it, where we find the deepest insights into how complex and fascinating human connection really is.